Hey, Rivals, Bax here. I just wanted to talk about some of the ancients that are useful when you're trying to push to a higher cup level than you've been before. And there'll be a common theme in these that they are able to reduce damage or to manage the spell towers. The biggest threat that you usually face when pushing very hard is that the troop level for your guys is a little bit low compared to the damage potential of the high level bases that you're going to be hitting. And so having some kind of damage reduction is very helpful. In addition, the spell towers can really just wreck you, whether it's a high-level flame bolt tower that can do tons of damage, or whether it's a freeze tower, because if your troops are not shooting and those high-level defenses are hitting you, you're going to go down quickly. So Forvel is one of the best ancients for his first ability here, the Frost Shield. Reduces damage by 35% and grants total immunity to the flash freeze for a long time period. And it's worth leveling Forvel up, both for greater power as a dragon when he's sweeping, but also to have a longer time on these Frost Shields, because you're going to be casting several of them, and if they last longer, you'll have to cast less of them. The Ice Elemental, while it's not a bad spell, is just not as useful as a Frost Shield. If you have excess mana that you can cast both, it's helpful. And Midwinter I find very useful as a closer spell after the Stronghold has been taken down in order to quickly get through the rest of the base and get to the rest of the gold. Erasmus is another very helpful ancient when you're trying to push, and the main reason for that is his third spell, Refraction. It sends back 75% of the damage back to attackers for about 8 or 9 seconds. So not only is it a 75% damage reduction for your own troops, but it's sending that back to the attackers as well. This is really, really useful at taking out things like fire towers and arrow launchers and catapults. Because those are all splash damages, they'll be hitting multiple units at the same time, and with each one of those reflecting back the damage, they can blow themselves up really pretty quickly. And so when there are not many freeze towers or insanity towers on the base, and where I can get a lot of mana up front, I find that Erasmus is a very useful ancient to use. The Hallucinate spell to distract the troops is also very helpful and cheap. And on occasion, the Confuse spell can come in useful as well. But really, whether or not you want to use Erasmus on a base depends on whether you can get mana to cast that third Refraction spell. Jal, the Epic Fire Ancient, is also a very helpful ancient to use at higher levels when you are facing particularly tough spell towers. The reason is his first spell shuts down a spell tower for a very long time, for 15 seconds, as well as dealing some very large damage to that. When that is cast before a Darkened Sky spell, the spell towers will be instantly destroyed. So that's a really good way, if you can get a lot of mana at the start, to not only shut down but completely eliminate a spell tower right off the bat. It will also do damage to any building, not just spell towers, and it slows the targets by 50%, so that's a very useful spell. The Oasis spell is also very helpful in that it can provide some handy healing for the units, and in addition, it will render them immune to all spell tower debuffs for about 5 seconds. Now, this will not eliminate a debuff once it's cast, so you need to get the Oasis spell up before they're hit by the spell towers, but that's still a very handy spell to have, especially if you're hitting multiple spell towers in the same area. Aegis can be quite handy as an epic for pushing as well, and there are a couple spells that are useful here. The first is the ability to give the troops a boost in movement and speed for a few seconds, but the fact that they will target defenses first will allow you to control where they go. Because one of the main reasons for a fail during a push is when the troops go around the base and won't head to the inside. So in some cases, the use of the By My Command spell will make them prioritize that defense and head where you want them to go. It's also a nice mana bonus from destroying a defense while under that spell. A good second one to cast in this scenario is On Your Feet, which will instantly dispel spell tower debuffs, and will heal them a decent amount as well. So if there's a base that has, say, a freeze tower or an insanity tower, you can immediately dispel that debuff, and that's very nice. The trample spell is also quite interesting. Each of the troops can generate about 10 damage per second for 8 or 9 seconds, and up to 5 troops can attack that. With double damage to walls, your troops can really rip through walls very quickly. This is something really cool to see in practice here, especially if you can get them higher level than I have mine at present. So each of those spells is fairly useful, especially situationally. So there are certain bases where Aegis is a great ancient to use, although he's not one that you would be able to use in every situation, and he doesn't provide any reduction in damage ability like Forvel would. One other ancient that's very helpful, which I don't have right now, is Zolonia. The transfusion spell, her first one, is super powerful and keeps the troops alive by redistributing the health. Okay, now I'd like to show 2 attacks that will help you to avoid ruin. Well, I'm not going to lie. When I first saw this base, I just about freaked out. That is one maxed out base. In fact, it's so maxed out, it's beyond what you can see in the game right now. It's a stronghold level 16, and I had heard of it before. It's a NPC base called the Ruin 6. It was pretty clear between the walls and the defenses I wasn't going to beat this with a ground attack. But then I noticed that there really are not many anti-air defenses surrounding the stronghold. And if I can knock out the watchtower and any skywatchers nearby, I might actually be able to get the dragon in there to snipe out the stronghold. So I used a little bit of a boost there with the fire elemental, sent the troops to knock out the watchtower over there, and then I just sent Forvel right on into the middle. There's not much in there that's going to get him. Now that flame pole tower is actually pretty powerful, but by sending the troops to distract, they're doing pretty well. And to my surprise here, actually, with the frost shield, they're able to stay alive there. And that Ruin 6 is defeated. That is by far the most beefy base that I've ever seen or defeated. So that was really pretty cool. I don't think without Forvel I would have been able to defeat that one. Alright, so here's another example of using Forvel well. This base is really pretty tough. It has walls and defenses higher than I'm used to seeing. Again, it looks like if I can knock out the anti-air units near the stronghold itself, that I'll be able to do pretty well. So we're going to come in from the bottom here, where those 2 freeze towers are. Forvel excels at handling those freeze towers with the frost shield. So we're going to clear out any distractions. I can't have any units running around the base here. I need them to go on the inside. So we'll just clip those out. Get just a little bit extra mana from here. And in addition, I do have some mana undies here to get some further mana, because there really isn't much anti-air. And if the dragon here should die, then we can still have the mana hunters go in and take that out. Now I did recently get Viscaria, and so that's what I'm using as the dragon, but Forvel is the ancient that I'm using. Alright, so we'll get the frost shield on them, take out that Skywatcher, and with that down, mana hunters can go in. The Skywatcher, by the way, is a splash damage defense. It took me a while to notice that. It's like the catapult of the air, so it can wipe out a whole horde of mana hunters at once. So you don't want to fly those around with the Skywatchers. Alright, the Frost Shield is doing well keeping them alive. The mana hunters are getting extra mana, and they're on the stronghold as well. Get a little extra damage there and distraction from the Dragon Sweep. And we were able to take it out with the troops. So that was a pretty strong base that the use of Forvel as the ancient made work pretty well. So here's my main tip for today's episode on pushing for the arena. Understand that many ancients can be fun at lower levels or on lower streaks, but really for a dedicated push where you are going as high as you possibly can, there are smaller numbers that you want to learn to use very well and that are much more reliable at getting the win and others. And these focus on damage control, spell tower management, or situational use. So understand and practice these ancients and others similar to them. So I hope that was useful. Good luck on your own push, and let me know what ancients you like to use.